Hey everybody, it's Marit Stiles here. It's just a few minutes before the bells are going to start to ring here at the Legislative Assembly in Ontario. I'm actually just trying to print some documents so that I can get ready to go into the House and start debating Doug Ford's latest attempt. Hey everybody, hi Kate, hi everyone, Jared I see there. It's good to see you guys, Stephen. I'm here at the Legislative Assembly. It's about 10:02 or something like that, and like I said, any minute now the bells are going to start to ring here because even though we're close to midnight, we're going back into the legislature. And the reason for this, it's kind of technical, but the rules are such that the government has to wait a certain number of hours. Hey, nice to see you, everyone. Has to wait a certain number of hours before they can come back and debate a bill after they've introduced it. And then they have all kinds of other tools they can use to move it really quickly through the House, which are rules, by the way, that they've watered down. This government, which is the Conservatives, of course, in Ontario, even the previous Liberal government also made some changes. It's been going on for a long time. So taking away some of the tools that opposition has to fight and to delay things or to oppose in the way that we're really elected to do in the legislature when we oppose a bill. I mean, and this government has a majority, so I mean, it's very likely this bill will pass unless some of the members of their own government decide to actually take a stand, which, to be honest, I am really hoping happens, because what they're proposing to do, it's so offensive. But what I want to tell you, and why I tuned in right now, is just because I wanted to tell you what I think is really going on here. And so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is they're trying to obviously, it's a real attack on democracy, and they're using a nuclear missile. They're launching a nuclear missile at our democratic rights. And it really comes down to just Doug Ford didn't get what he wanted. And that's kind of how everything seems to go right now in this government. You know, you have somebody who has had an enormous amount of privilege. I mean, I don't know a lot about his life, but a lot of privilege. And now he's being told, no, you can't do that. And he does not like to be told he can't do things. And that's unfortunate, because we have laws and rules like that for a reason. We need to protect our democracy. And he's willing to actually put our constitutional rights at risk. Just because he doesn't want his critics to be able to have a voice in the build up to the election. So, hey guys, nice to see you all here. So I'm just preparing some notes to debate in the House, and what's going to happen is we're going to go in there at midnight, and the government has an hour where they get to debate for about an hour their bill, and then it's going to come to us, and we're going to divide it up into smaller bits so that more of us get a chance to actually speak and share the voices of our constituents and the people of Ontario. But the good news, if I may say, in all of this, and there's not really a lot of good news, but there is one thing, which is this is a sign of absolute desperation. They wouldn't be doing this if they weren't absolutely terrified of what's coming. They know how deeply unpopular their government has been. They know that people are really unhappy with the way they've handled the pandemic. They are under a lot of pressure, and so they're going to use whatever tactics they have. And it is sad. It's sad because I like to live in this world maybe where I like to think that that we would have that when you're elected, that it's not just about you. It's not just about holding on to power at all costs. Surely that we're better than that, right? Surely we're better than that. And so I find that personally hard to take. I can't identify with it. I don't know how they can live with themselves over this. It's so absurd. And at a time when we could be in the legislature, I'd be happy to be here. I'm happy to be here tonight. I'll stay up all night. I'll stay up a bunch of nights. I don't care. The reason I don't mind doing it is because if we were talking about something and I'll debate this, but I would like to be in there talking about how we're going to, move up the precautions and stuff so we can actually get our schools reopened in person. My goodness, in September at least, right? Or that we could actually find some justice for the families of the victims of COVID who died in the long-term care facilities. Or we could actually, really move up the vaccination effort in a big way. Or find ways to support those small community businesses that have really been struggling. There's so many things we could be actually focused on, and I think we'd all be happy to be here all night, every night, but the government didn't call us back, at midnight, all night, every night, and with this sense of urgency for anything else other than this unbelievably absurd tactic that they're using to disrupt and attack their critics. So I guess you could say we're doing something right. You're doing something right, because if you've been lending your voice, if you've been putting the pressure on these guys, you better be sure they are feeling it. But we're going to have to keep organizing and building on the ground, because they got the big money, they've got the big corporations behind them. But I'll tell you who we've got behind us is we're going to have the people behind us. That's the difference. And yeah, Ford is not probably going to be here, although there's rumors that he might show up at some point to kind of cheer on his troops. But I wouldn't expect to see him here much. In fact, he's never here, truthfully. And the funny thing is, we're not allowed to mention that either. You'll see we never talk about that in the legislature, because if we do, we break certain rules and they'll shut us down. So we're not allowed to mention who's in the House and who's not. But he won't be here. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me for a few minutes. You made the time pass, and I'm wondering, I got to get into the legislature now. Okay, bye.